Hey fellas, the time has come and Rusty's going to take a chance and dye a moose. I forgot the year on this moose. I think it's, yeah, you guys have to chime in. And I'm not really sure. I think this was a failed attempt at a, what are we going to call it, amber. You can maybe see what's happening there. It's carbon steel, and it's not too shabby for the age. There's the tank stamp for any of you guys want to chime in. I got a tiny amount of pitting here, and I think I have just a small amount somewhere else, but not too bad. Pretty shiny all the way through, and I'm going to give it a dye. And I'm going to try to get it into kind of a case, quote-unquote, choice red. They have on eBay, a lot of people are calling it choice red. That's not dark red. That's not bright red. It's kind of a wine color. And we're going for that. So let's see what we can get. All right, do we have a new knife under here? Or what do we have? Well, folks, did a little research, did a little work. This is the same knife as early in the video with quite a bit of work. So we put on, all we did is hit the bone with some rubbing alcohol, put it in a dye that's wine colored dye. Probably a medium, if you will. I'll talk to you about that some more. And if I had to say before, this was an attempt at amber bone, and it was a bad attempt. So I left this overnight and I got it out this morning, and I started hitting it with case paste. A lot of case paste and a lot of polishing, you know. And after that was done, I hit the bolsters. I even hit the bone here, and it's interesting. It takes off some red right here, and it left me pretty cool colors. So I got some really nice marbling. I think if you take a peek, hopefully at this bone, really satisfied. You can see a little spot of brown here. And what I learned, what I thought, is when you go over darker, you can cover this dark. You know, there was some darkness there. And it just seems to me like paint. And what I mean by that is if you're trying to cover a black house with white paint, you're going to need 2 coats. But if you're trying to cover a white paint with black, you only need 1. And what we have here is, if it's a lighter, you know, in this area, get a darker red, it's going to cover it. But if it's darker, the brown that's in there, if it's darker than your red, then you'll kind of have to deal. It's the brown, the existing brown will come through. So, based upon my research, we're looking at a 1994. I want to say maybe a 1993, and it took lots and lots of work to bring back a polish after having this in. But I had a little bit of pitting on the top. I may still have a little bit of pitting in this area. I had a little bit of pitting right there. But not too shabby. Not too shabby. We'll see if we can get that off. And we'll go ahead and close this up. Now, what I like about this, you guys may or may not already know, is this is on a 75 frame. So it's like a large Stockman, and we'll get into that in a second. But I had a lot of polishing to do on this, including a spot that was there. Remember, this thing is 30 years old. Oh, it's a cool pattern. You don't see a lot of case moose knives, and I think you don't see a lot in this shape. And so let me know what you guys are thinking, if this has any value. I've modified it. You know, I know people will kind of some people are doing what they call fire. They're going to fire the bone. That's torching it, which I think is modifying it. So there is some customizing going on, if you will. So anyways, I was on a little bit of a tangent. This is a case 75. So if you can see the Stockman in here, and then it's got the Stockman clip point. So it's very much like a 75 Stockman. Has a little bit of stepping right there. It's not too shabby. There is a gap right here at this end, and you can see light through it. Now, instead of having, you know, the sheep's foot and the Spey blade, well, you got a long Spey blade. And when it comes to this or the Trapper, like I said, and there's a video out on this, I'm real surprised why this didn't take off more than the Trapper. You get a clip point, you get a Spey blade, and they're both very nice. I really like this pattern, and I'm going to add to it. In fact, I may do the same thing I'm doing right now. Look for a used one that ain't pretty and buy it. Well, of course, they're all going to be used. They haven't made this pattern for a long time. And then purdy it up. Just put a little bit of, well, a lot of case paste on there, a little bit of rubbing, a lot of rubbing, maybe an edge if it needs it, maybe a dye job. I did put some wicked wax on there, and you know, who knows. I did that to a case 62032, which is a small Texas Jack. And you can see the underlying bone, how it's going to influence the overall look. And what you'll get, even the amount of time, I think this spent a little bit less time this side than that side did. This was more brown and this was more amber when we started. So, all right, guys. Might have some other videos like this. Check them out. Thanks for joining me.